the news studio, here's a look at just some of the programmes tomorrow here on One. The soap hour starts just after 5 with Santa Barbara, followed by The Young and the Restless. Compass just before 6, and 6 on 1 taking us up to 6:30.
I had a bit of a rough night last night.
Anything you want to talk about?
Believe me, you don't want to know.
Securely bound, correct? And you're securely bound, right? Come on over here so that everybody can see a little... Wait a minute. Wait a minute, what happened?
I have a little message for you, Mrs. Fletcher. Stay out of this business with the O'Connor folk. It's none of your concern. Lay off.
I see. You wouldn't have any special reason for wanting me to drop this, would you?
My reasons are my own. And you should look for the source of your problem closer to home. Or didn't you catch that little lover spat the other night between Ian and Kathleen?
Yes, it's Jessica Fletcher back at 7 with another mystery to unravel. But before she joins us, we're going into the world of favourite magicians. There's the main news bulletin at 8, and then time to cross over for Agenda Newsline. Just after 9, it'll be time to join the kids from Melrose Place. And there's simulcast in English on Radio 2000. A news update at 10, and after that at 20 past 10, we go to the African Games, replacing our usual programme, The X-Files.
Toe kom jy ook by Nora kom kuier? Wat bedoel jy? Ek bedoel presies wat ek sê. Wil jy 'n verhouding hê? Om jy die waarheid te vertel, ek weet eintlik self nog nie so mooi nie. Ek wel moet erken daar's 'n sterk moontlikheid.
20 past 11 sees the final episode in our drama detective series and a repeat of which we're here at 5 past midnight.
Catch the magic live on TV1 from September the 16th to the 23rd. The best of Africa's athletes running, jumping, swimming, boxing and pole vaulting at the 6th All Africa Games in Harare.
Top stories tonight. Pope John Paul II delivers a strong message of peace during his first Mass on South African soil. Taxpayers fork out more than 5 million rands to pay controversial IFP self-protection units in KwaZulu-Natal. And South Africa's Karen Botha pleads innocent to taking a banned substance, and she's still in the dark as to her future. A very good evening to you, and thank you for joining us. Pope John Paul II has delivered a strong message of peace during the celebration of his first Mass on South African soil. The pontiff called on Africa and the world to follow South Africa in rejecting violence and hatred, to work for peace and reconciliation. Some 200,000 people also heard him reaffirm the Catholic Church's rigid stand on abortion.
Silhouetted against the rising sun, hundreds of buses queue to get into Gosforth Park. Many pilgrims had spent the night there, but this didn't seem to dampen the spirits.
It means a lot. Someone from overseas, so special, so nice, has come to see us.
Very nice. We are going to see Popo.
I'm see the Pope, and he's a very holy man.
Some had travelled hundreds of kilometres to attend the Mass, but the attendance figure was short of the expected 400,000. The first dignitaries to arrive for the Holy Mass were Deputy Presidents Thabo Mbeki and F.W. de Klerk. Next to arrive was President Nelson Mandela. Unlike yesterday's wet reception at Johannesburg International Airport, sunny skies and a cool breeze welcomed John Paul to Gosforth Park today. Travelling in his famous Pope Mobile, he was driven through the exultant crowd. The pontiff was welcomed by the Right Reverend Joseph Osmond of Johannesburg.
Being with you in the Pope Mobile and to watch you as you loved your people and your people loved you. For me, this was a very moving experience.
The Mass had a distinct African flavour. Pope John Paul looked on as an African praise singer called for blessings. The Pope then began the ceremony with a prayer of love and peace in English, Afrikaans, Zulu, Sesotho and Xhosa.
I urge you to embrace one another as members of one family, the family of God, the Father of mercies. Become what you want to be, the rainbow people of God.
His message of peace continued in his sermon.
Seeing what is happening here, men and women of goodwill hope that in other parts of this continent too, and throughout the world, violence will give way to dialogue and agreement.
The Pontiff had a special message for the women of Africa. He reaffirmed the Catholic Church's inflexibility on the burning issue of abortion.
The Church, therefore, appeals to you in a special way to respect, protect, love, and serve life, every human life, from conception to natural death.
After the Pope was presented with gifts of fruit, vegetables, and bread, the congregation took communion. The Pope then took communion himself. After the final blessing, he presented the African Bishop Synod document. The ceremony closed with the singing of Nkosi Sikelel' i-Afrika and Die Stem.
We couldn't see the Pope, but we are happy because we heard his voice.
We waited for a long time. Thank God for this.
It's been a long and hot day, but it's been South African history in the making. For many people, it's also been a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see the Pope on South African soil. Nan Roo, TV News, Gosforth Park, Johannesburg.
This plea for peace and reconciliation wasn't heard in East London today, either by a mainly whites-only church service or the black parishioners who tried to invade it. The black members of the Old Apostolic Church of Africa in Mdantsane were trying to force the resolution of a problem with the Apostolic Church in East London.
Almost 300 members of the Old Apostolic Church of Africa in Mdantsane occupied a church in Berea this morning. They claim that the mainly white congregation of the Apostolic Church had broken a promise to resolve a dispute between the two groups.
Last week, but a year, and there was a conflict, and he promised them that this week is going to call the governing body of the church to come and resolve this problem.
Members of the mainly white congregation in Berea accused the Mdantsane congregation of disrupting their service and of assaulting churchgoers.
The black members know they do not belong to this community.
Why not?
For the sole reason they don't live in the area.
They pulled her and scratched her, and she was coming out to the hall because she was the last to come out and looking for the children, to protect the children from them, because the children were terrified.
They are the full members of this congregation.
The specific one, yeah?
Not actually this specific, because they are the Old Apostolic Church members.
The police's internal stability unit were called in to restore order. The protesters later left the church peacefully. A meeting will be held later in an effort to resolve the problem. Tani Heifers, TV News, East London.
A major row has broken out over revelations that more than 5 rands of taxpayers' money may have been used to pay members of the controversial self-protection units in KwaZulu-Natal. The matter has been referred to the Auditor General Henry Cleaver. The ANC has called for an urgent sitting of the provincial parliament and repayment of public monies.
The self-protection units were formed in 1993 when IFP leader Mangosuthu Buthelezi called on all Zulus to donate 5 rands each for a fund to help communities protect themselves. Apparently, only 300,000 rands was raised, and by December last year, the fund had been exhausted. In May this year, Premier Frank Mdladlozi told the KwaZulu-Natal legislature that the SPUs were being paid with donations from the community. But according to an article in today's Sunday Times, it appears that the provincial government did in fact dip into state coffers. It said cheques amounting to 5.5 million rands, made out in the name of the KwaZulu-Natal Commissioner of Police, were issued to a driver in Dr. Mdlatlozi's department for payment to SPUs. The last cheque for 510,000 rands was apparently issued in March. In May, SPU members demanding more money disrupted provincial parliamentary sittings in Ulundi. Today, ANC MEC Sabu Ndebele lashed out at the provincial government and called for an investigation into the matter.
We are calling on an emergency meeting of the parliament, or emergency meeting of the PEC of KwaZulu-Natal to see how we take the matter forward. We are going to be, of course, demanding that the Auditor General deals with the matter with immediate effect, and we are also going to want that, like the Inkatha Gate money, we also want this money to be repaid in full to the provincial coffers.
Dr. Mdlatlozi couldn't be reached for comment today.
Meanwhile, IFP leader Mangosuthu Buthelezi has once again threatened to step down as leader of the party. Addressing a rally at Imona in Nongoma in northern KwaZulu-Natal, Dr. Buthelezi said differences within the party need to be resolved.
I made it public that I'm ready to step down if these problems are not immediately solved. For I do not wish to serve as the leader of a divided party or as the leader of only one faction of a divided party. Either I'm the leader of the whole party, the IFP, which acts with unity of intent and purpose, inspired by common goals, or rather somebody else who might have greater wisdom and insight about what is happening in South Africa should take place if you, as the IFP body politic, believe that such a person may exist.
He added that the IFP would no longer accept the present level of violence and intimidation in the province.
Is this the beginning? Could this be the end? And demons to the bound. The evil lurks wherever danger can be found. The unexpected is waiting there for you. Are you ready for the bubbling of the brew? Put your head on my shoulder, whisper in my ear, baby, words I want to hear. Tell me that the pain will go away.
Triple Action Analgin. Stronger than pain.
Go away.
Mozart.
Not interested.
Trip to Greece.
Nah.
No interest.
No interest.
Modern art.
Not interested.
What does interest you?
Lots of interest.
Money?
Yes.
Allied Bank?
Now I'm interested.
Has Karen Botha been suspended after testing positive for a banned substance at the All-African Games yesterday, or hasn't she? Diak, president of the African Amateur Athletics Confederation, said Botha was automatically suspended for 3 months, but the South African team management haven't received any official notice of the suspension, and they still don't know whether they're going to lose 2 of their 47 medals. However, David van der Sand reports that Botha will be suspended and that she and the relay team will be asked to return their medals.
After a second sample also produced a positive result,
Karen Botha returned to Harare last night to face the music and to give her side of the story.
I am not ashamed. I am not scared. And I really am not embarrassed because it's something that I didn't do deliberately. That's it.
According to Botha, she took a painkiller which was prescribed to her by a doctor in June. This she indicated to officials during the doping test after winning the long jump bronze on Thursday.
If I would have known that these things are going to test positive, or if I would have deliberately wanted to enhance my performance, I would not have declared them.
The incident has shifted the focus from South Africa's medal-winning performances, but Botha received the full backing from the SA team management.
We do not regard this as a scandal. I'm saying this because Karen did not deliberately use a prohibited substance.
The football team, which has also received a great deal of attention after controversial team selection, had their first outing today and duly silenced their critics. They beat Malawi by 55 points to 41. The under-24 rugby side also had success, running away against Zimbabwe 50-6, emphasizing South Africa's dominance of most of the events. David van der Sant, TV News, Harare.
Which brings us to soccer news, and we've received the following results of NSL Castle League matches. Nationals lost to Rabali Blackpool by 2 goals. Morocco Swallows and Hellenic drew 2-2. In the game between Sundowns and Kwakwa Stars, neither side managed to score. Real Rovers went down to African Wanderers, and Bloemfontein Celtic's 1 goal was good enough to beat Jomo Cosmos. And in Umtata, Amazulu lost to Bushbucks. And as usual, we finish with the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. Isolated thunder showers are expected over the eastern half of the country, the south coast and adjacent interior, and snow is expected over the southern interior. It'll be cold tonight over the central parts, but warmer over the coastal belts and northern parts. Tomorrow, more rain will fall over the eastern half of the country, and it'll snow over the southeastern Cape. It'll be cold over the central and southern interior, but mild along the coastal belts. It'll be hot in the north. And there you have it. That's the end of this newscast, so I'll say goodnight till the next time.